Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Bagadon at Stock Market Caddy, and today is Friday midday, and we're just saying hello as folks might stop by. The time now is 12:09. We're going to let you watch the close into the afternoon. Our plan is to probably set a break even on this. Let's do that, and beginning balance. Now we didn't trade this a lot this week. We didn't. We just got distracted with a number of other things. We had a little drawdown yesterday, and we did that in full view of those that were here on YouTube, and then got the account squared away. We kept one micro short overnight. We're going to keep it short to the close. We probably won't keep it short over the weekend. So if we were to stop right now, we would be up trading, micros $2,000 for the week, 30,400 to 32,700. What is that? $2,300 or so, which isn't all bad, right? But the day's not over, and Swing Machine is doing its thing. We can tell that we're on the right side of the market right now, which is short, right? Pretty simple. Pretty simple. Lots of noise around the markets. We don't really concern ourselves with it, at least from a trading standpoint. And if you have any questions, feel free to let us know, and we'll let you watch. That's just one micro up there. Isn't that amazing? How much of a return on that? Overnight to carry one micro overnight is about $4,200. 1,200 bucks on 42. What's that? 25, 30% overnight. Not bad. I'm bagging on. This is Stock Market Caddy. Any questions? Let us know. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. Hope you had a good week. We've had a great week. This particular view that you're seeing on the MNQs, we didn't run very much this week. You saw it the other day. We had ourselves a little bit of a drawdown, and we had to be a little protective, little Katie by the door, and so that we finish on a positive note, and we are. Um, Yesterday, if you recall, we were trading five. We had a nice fat profit. Now we would have had much more, right? I mean, that position up there is up $1,200 on one micro. We had four more. We had four more. Um, so you can do the math. We would be up over $5,000. However, it was Thursday. It was Thursday. We're going into the end of the week. It wasn't a time to get too greedy. So we had to, because we didn't get done what we needed to get done earlier in the week. We took four off. We let the other one run. So that's just one micro, and we're going to set a break-even stop on it. We're going to let it run for the rest of the afternoon, and then we will take it off at the end of the day. If we were to stop right now, we started at 30,400. We're at 32,700. So we're up about $2,300. That's not all bad for trading one market, five micros. And we didn't trade a lot. I wish we had, right? I wish we had. But we were doing a number of things. So it is what it is. I hope you're getting it done with whatever it is you're doing. Don't hesitate to reach out. So we're going to go set a stop on that. And you're going to see a little asterisk show up. I'm going to do this manually, because I don't want Trump to come out with a tweet. Although I think his tweeting days on this war are probably drawing to a close. I think somebody's probably told him, knock off the bullshit. You're not helping matters. And he isn't. He absolutely is not. The market eventually will just, they'll get to a place where they'll just discount them. Won't have anything to do with them. So we're going to guarantee ourselves, let's see, let's guarantee ourselves a profit here so that I can breathe easy. Don't want to embarrass ourselves here on front of YouTube for the few crazy folks that watch us and trade these markets. Most Americans have no clue. Certainly the college kids, the best and brightest of them, they're down there chasing each other around on a beach. They have no idea. They don't. They're clueless. So I'm a little facetious when I say the best and brightest. College educations are not what they used to be, like everything else. Watered down, become a farcical, actually. But, all right, so there we are. And we got a guaranteed profit of $500, guaranteed. And yeah, we're in good shape. And I could put a profit down lower, but I'm not going to do that. Any questions about who we are, what we're doing, don't hesitate, and we're going to let you watch, okay? I'll be nearby. And we don't run trading rooms. We don't do that. We're trying to empower individuals to take control over this part of their life in the quietness of their own home and office, and home or office or wherever they be. They can work their hard-earned capital to extract cash flow. How much margin, how much money do you need in your account to trade one micro contract? Well, to go overnight, it's about $4,300, I think, at the moment. $4,300. So you can do the math. A $1,200 return overnight, that's not so bad, right? Intraday, it's a fraction of that. It's a fraction, right? So 5 micros overnight would be 20 grand. During the day, they give you like 90% margin. I mean, it's a fraction of it. But you do need to have a discipline. If you come in here and it's just that flinging contracts around and think it's a casino on one of those cruise boats, you're not going to do very well. You're just not. Decision-making trading software and the education to use that software if you visit stockmarketcaddy.com. enjoy. We'll be back periodically during the afternoon. Have fun. Okay, let's take a look at the daily. Let's see where we are. Okay, so you can see it, right? We're now at 80. Could it get into euphoria? It could later today. Let's go to the ES. Yeah, so it's perfectly proportioned. It's almost too proportional. I like to see a little disorder here, some forced selling. So when the VIX gets into euphoria and the ES gets into panic, so we could get another push down. That could come later today, and it could come, especially if today ends very badly, means that nobody wants to be long over the weekend. So you want to be at your computers on Sunday night, because if we get through the weekend without too many other shoes dropping, or if something happens, you could begin to use options here, right? You could. Um, I just wouldn't go balls to the wall long. What I might do, right, and I might do it. I'll wait. I'll wait though till the end of the day, and pick up maybe just pick up a call option, for 25 or 30 days on the S&P. Just one, just one, just a marker. right? Just in case something good happens over the weekend and we gap higher on Sunday night and run like a son of a bitch on Monday, Tuesday. But equally, something bad could happen and we could drop down. So you want to define your risk if you want to take it at all. I wouldn't leave myself open with a futures contract because anything can happen, and they're leveraged, and unless the market's open, you don't have much protection. I mean, because they could gap. Um, so it's nobody knows, and that's what's creating the uncertainty of it all. And this is going to be the case probably for many, many more weekends. And it could be for a long time. I know, Trump says that Iran's looking for an off ramp. That dude's looking for an off ramp. He's got himself into something that he didn't think through. And he is most definitely looking for an off ramp. I don't know where he's going to go with it. But, so I would be watching. It's very unlikely that this thing's going to come roaring back this afternoon. I just, you put yourself in the trade. Why would anybody do that? In a big way. So I think this thing will be under pressure and maybe accelerate into the close. So you can see where it is. The skew. Let's go get a look at the skew. Let me just do this. Blank row. Let's put skew in here. And this is what has me a little bit of pause here. SKEW dot X. Oops. No. Let's do it again. $SKEW dot X. There it is. And let's put it on a daily. We're only interested in the skew on a daily. There it is. So the skew is at 143, which is middle of the road. It's high, but not up here. So what does that mean? It means the big money, the Warren Buffetts of the world, they're not buying puts here. They're not. Nope. But they're not buying calls either. They're not. Their portfolios are hedged, and they're not putting on any more hedges, and they're not really, they've taken off a little bit, but they're not taking off that much. The setup would be when you really, really want to go long, but we may or may not get it. You'd want to see the VIX in euphoria. You'd want to see the ES here. And you want to see the skew where? Here. Here. If and when you ever get that opportunity, one, you would have to have our tools on your desktop to see it. But you see it, and if I don't, you got to let me know. But one of the times that I can recall, because it doesn't happen every week, it doesn't even happen, it may only happen once or twice a year. One of the times that happened was when the S&P was at 21 to 2200 toward the latter part of the COVID. Well, it was after the crush of the COVID. And at that point, you just want to buy anything and everything. And we called it out real time with our members on a YouTube session. I don't know what year it is, but we called it out and said, hey guys, you got to kill your shorts. I mean, I know you made a ton of money. We made a ton of money shorting it, but you got to kill it. You got to hold your nose, put your earmuffs on, don't listen to the noise, and you got to get long. We don't have that set up here yet. We don't quite have it yet, but we could early next week. It's possible. So if you've been short, congratulations, you made a shitload of money. We heard from folks that put on S&P put options back in February, into January, February, when the S&P was at 7,000. Those put contracts cost them anywhere from $8,000 to about $10,000, and those contracts, today are worth anywhere from $50,000 to $70 some odd $1,000. Nice hit. Now you don't have to use the S&P Big Boy. You can use the SPY, but it's a fraction. It's 1/10 the cost, 1/10 the performance. So let's delete that and we'll put this back to a 5 minute. It's that easy. You just don't want to get yourself hung up. When you become a trader, you will learn. You get the beautiful thing is you get to decide. You don't get to decide what the market's doing, right? So you don't control the market. I don't either. Nobody does. Not even Trump. Not even the Treasury. Not even the Federal Reserve. They got a little more influence than we do, but nobody controls it. And but there are things that you can control. What you trade, what markets you trade, what hours you trade, how much leverage you trade, what strategy you choose. And there's a whole host of other factors that we review when you're in Q School to at least get you thinking about it. And it may vary from week to week, probably not too much. We've been pretty much doing the same thing here for a number of weeks. We have a whole host of other tools available, but we can't use them all at once. We don't try to. And but we'll make adjustments if necessary. I do think the next big trade is, but I think it's going to be early next week at the earliest, maybe Tuesday afternoon. We'll be playing for the bounce. We'll see. We'll see how that happens. Any questions, let us know. If you're getting it done, had a nice gentleman. His name was Jeremy, I think. He was calling us from Memphis. And he called to tell me, Don, I've been trading point and figure for a year and a half, and I'm doing great. And I'm like, okay, what can I do for you? Well, I want to know if I can get some pointers. So you guys know what I told him. Jeremy, you tell me you've been doing great. Just keep doing what you're doing. Right? Don't go looking for any pointers. If you're getting it done with whatever it is you're doing, if you are, keep doing it. Rinse and repeat. Don't join us. Don't join anybody. Just keep doing it. But if you're not getting it done, you're not doing that great, well, then you might want to stop. Splash some water on your face. Take the weekend, take a few weeks off, think about what you've been doing, think about what you've been seeing us do, what others do. Compare us. You don't see anybody doing what we're doing. You just don't. And by the way, I do point to the CME. We did finish 15. They tell us number 15 in the last challenge in December. The one before that we did, we finished number 6. So you can't do that time and time again. You just can't. Now I'm not saying, we haven't won it. You could say, hey, we haven't won it, Don. No, we haven't. Not yet. They are pretty damn good, right? So, but the good news is you don't have to compete with anybody. But we do come in. We were here yesterday and we had a drawdown on the market. We may have lost some viewers. People go, oh man, he started at $30,400 and he's done at $29,000, honey. And it's Thursday and he's lost $1,000. I can't lose $1,000. Well, this is the deal. Too on that. Let me just say this. We'll sometimes get phone calls from people and they'll say, I want to make, I'll ask them, how much money you want to make? I want to make $500 a day, Don. Okay, 20 trading days a month. That's $10,000 a month. Well, that's pretty good. That's all right. Especially in one market. And it's certainly doable. Certainly doable. And then I'll ask them, but can you afford to lose $500 a day? No. Not at all? No. Why not? Because I have $2,500 in my account. If I lose, 2 or 3 days at $500 a day, I won't have any trading capital left. So, we have to be real. You have to be real about this, right? And so we talk about trading in proportion. and we spend time. We take it apart. We talk about examples of different account sizes and what the appropriate size is. And it's a range, but it's pretty well defined. And you got to stay consistent with that. You have to. Because if you're thinking, oh, I'm going to start, when I get that account to 50,000, boy, I'm going to really, really step on them. I know that guy says this, but I'm going to come in there with like 10 or 20 contracts, and I'm going to step on them, and I'm going to make myself $500,000. You might actually hit it, but you also might wipe out your 50 grand. And then where does that leave you? With no confidence, destroyed, you know, and that's falling off the wagon, so to speak, as a trader, right? You got to be disciplined, got to be patient, and you don't want to fall off the wagon, right? So if you, and some folks, I sometimes get concerned. I haven't seen it recently, but we have had some members that I expressed some concern. I said, hey, you got some psychological issues around, risk taking, and so you have to kind of think that through and work it through, because you will get hurt, and I could equate it to other negative things, but you can, abuse some stuff, and hurt yourself. You can do it financially, or you could do it, driving a car impeded, or what would you say, driving a car that when you're not sober, right? I don't drink. I don't smoke weed. I don't do the gummy bear thing. I don't do any depressants. I'm cold sober. I just and sometimes I kind of wonder, is like, is the world? I know you guys are, but am I the only one? Is everyone else like on something? Am I? But it don't matter. Let them do what they're gonna do. We're gonna do what we do. Extract cash flow from the money flow, and we've done it week after week, month after month. We haven't been here for just 6 months or 6 years. We've been doing this before Twitter, before 2012. We've been doing this a long time. It's a great life. It's a great life. No conference calls, no paperwork, no boss, right? No, none of that shit. And if you're waiting and you're thinking, oh, I'm going to do it, oh, it's easy. When I retire, I'll do it then. Okay. I don't think so, kids. Maximize your time. Maybe you get to retire early, maybe. Don't take this notion too, by the way. The financial people will tell you, oh yeah, you got to be prepared, that when you're older and you stop working, you're going to earn less money than when you were working. Really? Really? Who says so? They say so. Maybe that puts less demands on them, but that's not true. There's so many old saws from sayings from Wall Street that are, counterproductive to you. Any questions about who we are, what we're about? You want to call and chat about what you've been doing, what you want to do, and let us know. We have folks coming and leaving Q schools all the time, and it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. So we spend the bulk of our time. I'd probably spend 30% of our time, because a lot of it's automated, right? Trading. So we're trading constantly, but I probably, and I'm just saying in round numbers, it probably 30% of my time. And that's why we started Stock Market Caddy. So I'd say the other 30%, I'd say 40%, 50, probably 40 to 50% of my time, probably a little bit more, but is dedicated to Stock Market Caddy. It takes quite a bit of time, but it's something I want to do. I like doing it. I like it, and I like people, and I want to see them do well, and so I like doing it. And then the other part of my time is golfing, fishing, walking with Susie and the pups, and just enjoying life, sitting by a pool, having a nice life. That's pretty boring, right? It's nice. I choose not to. God, I just saw too. We did a lot of traveling when we were younger, and I just saw a tourist helicopter crashed off of Kauai. We did that trip. We Susie and I, wasn't a tour or anything, and beautiful, beautiful. Kauai is gorgeous, and you probably should still do the helicopter trip, but it was a little bit spooky. But it brought back a thought. We did the helicopter over Kauai, and then also over the Big Island of Hawaii, and it was gorgeous, gorgeous. But it was over. I can't remember which. I think it was Kauai. Um, and it's amazing, right? That the chopper. It was just Susan and I. I was sitting up beside the pilot, and Susan was sitting in the back. We had headphones on like this, and the front end of the helicopter is like all glass, right? So it's like, I mean, you feel like a bird. I mean, you feel like you are flying. There's like nothing under you. And he's taking us down into valleys and whatnot. It was wild. And then we go down into this valley, and there were like sheep and stuff, or cattle. I remember it was just gorgeous. And then he comes up out of the valley, and he's like at treetop level, and he's got a shtick that he's doing, I'm sure. And then he says something to the effect that the three most beautiful things in the world, and he says and he's in the helicopter's moving, right, moving, and we're right at treetop level, so we can see the ocean in front of us, and we're just at treetop level. And he says the three most beautiful, and he's playing some music too. I can't remember what it was, but I remember him saying, I may have the order a little bit wrong, and he says a newborn baby, a naked woman. I'm like, okay, I'm with that. Yeah, I'm with that. And then he banks the helicopter hard right, and as he does it, the trees disappear from underneath the helicopter, and we're over the ocean, and the waves are crashing below us. And I mean, even still, I was like, you gasp, like, oh my God, it's like the ground just gave out from under you. And then he banks the helicopter a hard turn, banking it to the right. And I mean, it's a hard turn, and I mean, you feel like you're gonna fall out of the damn thing, and you're like, what in the hell? And then he says, and then he created the Napali coast, Napali. And if you're at your computer, you can probably pull up that helicopter tour, and you got to see, if you've never seen the Napali coast, um, you can punch it up and see it. It is gorgeous. I mean, it's all green and these jagged coastline. And then he proceeded to give us a tour, and I remember that. It's one of those things, right? Just can't forget it. And then he brought us up close. We were seeing waterfalls, and then he actually showed us. There were some planes that had crashed from like World War II. Fighter planes and stuff that had come back, and he just showed us the wreckages of where they ditched into the Nepali coast. It was really crazy. And then I think it was on that tour. It was either Hawaii or Kauai. And as we were going back, he's just idling back. We're going real fast, but we were really really high. I'm saying like a couple of thousand feet maybe. And suddenly my door opens. And I gasp like, oh shit. And he was pretty cool, and he's like, oh, what is it? He could hear us. And I'm like, my door just opened. He's like, oh, okay, all right, well, no problem. And I'm like, okay. Now, if you're on a small plane, and I did not know this, if you're on a small like Cessna or some other like small plane like that, and your door opens, it can lead to a crash. It can. And a helicopter is no big deal. Apparently, it wasn't to me. And then he stopped the helicopter at at like 2,000 feet up. He just stopped it, and we were just hovering. And I'm like, okay. He goes, now what I want you to do is just open it like a car door and slam it shut. I'm like, you gotta be shitting me. Are you kidding? Now I'm strapped in. I'm trying to think. I was gonna say if Susie, you know what? I think Susie was sitting up beside him, and I was in the back. I'm trying to remember that, or if we were both sitting beside each other, because I thought Susie was like hanging on. I was strapped in, so I mean I wasn't going anyplace. But I did it. I did it like twice, and I did it so hard that my fingers were numb, and it didn't latch. And I'm like, it's not latching. I didn't want to do it a third time. I'm like, I'm not cool with this. I get even dizzy just thinking about it. And then he just said, okay, well, no problem. He said, just keep a hold on it, and we'll be back to the base here in a little. We won't go so fast, and it'll be fine. It'll just flop and make some noise, and it did. And that was it. That was the last time we got on a helicopter. I'm like, I'm not doing that again. Now, of course, you tell that story to anyone and in the military, and they're like, the hell is wrong with you? I mean, we get in helicopters, they don't even have doors, for Christ's sakes, and you're not strapped in. But they're quite machines, but it was about the only way that you could get to see the islands. And when we did it over the big island of Hawaii, of course, it was over the volcanoes, the active volcanoes. And the son of a bitch took us up over the rim of the volcano. Oh my God. And I mean, you could see the cauldron. I mean, it wasn't exploding, but you could see all the lava just all bubbling up, and you could feel the heat from it. And he brought us like right to the edge of it. I'm like, oh shit. I mean, it was wild to see. Don't get me wrong, but I wasn't doing it a second time. Nope, I wasn't doing that. And then he would, so he gave us a big tour of the volcano. And then as he came down the lava field, of course, the lava field from the volcano, it's all rock, right? But then he would hover over these tubes, and I mean, we're like not that high. I mean, I felt like we were like at 10 feet, but we were probably 50 or 60 feet high, maybe 100 feet. I mean, we were right over them. And you could see the lava racing through the tubes, racing through. I mean, he would tell us the speed. I mean, it probably was 100 miles an hour. I mean, it was just, the lava is just racing through the tube, and you could feel the heat. Just wild. Gorgeous, gorgeous scenery. If you've never been to Hawaii, you need to go. And you know you only live once. Those poor people, they're not with us, but they were certainly seeing something fantastic. So, any case, I digress. I digress. The whole idea of trading, to bring it full circle, and then why we do this, is to empower individuals to be able to take control over this part of their life and have the time to do what you want to do when you want to do it, right? And I hope that's you. I hope I'll get a chance to chat with you. Let us know. We're going to let you watch my little Hawaii story. But check it out if you've never seen the Napali Coast on Kauai. And they probably got helicopter tours like online that you can see the video and you get an appreciation for it. It was wild. We took all these trips. We took all these trips, and at the time I had a camcorder. We filmed them all, right? I filmed them. I was one of those guys running around with a camcorder. We've never watched a single video. It's like sometimes, and sometimes, Susie, we'll have to digitize all that video and go back and watch our lives. But, quite frankly, it's just been life has, knock on wood, has been so good. And we just keep moving, and that's what you do. So we've never really, we filmed all these beautiful, beautiful places and everything, but we never sat down to watch them again. I think now it'd probably be sad to do it, at some later point. But we got all the moments, and I'm sure we were filming that particular trip. But so I hope you get a chance to see the islands of Hawaii, because they are gorgeous. Any questions about who we are, what we're about, don't hesitate. Okay, so we have a $500 stop, meaning on the account. So if they do bump this market up, which I don't think they're going to do, we would make at least 500. I also put a profit target in. I did this using the TradeStation tool Matrix, and if we shoot down about 2,000 bucks, where that thing would be up about 2 grand, so that would be quite a run. But it will get hit. So we have the prospect of finishing around 33.5, 33.6 or so, thereabouts. And considering that we were underneath our beginning balance this time yesterday, I would consider that very good. That would be, what, about 3 grand? All right, Abby's got a burglar. Hold on. Okay, so it's not a burglar. It's a new floating chair for the pool, and Abby's never seen that before, and that's a problem. That's something different. What do you know? There's something floating around in the pool that wasn't floating around there yesterday. Starting to get the pool ready. Coming into the best time of the year, nice and hot. Good afternoon, everyone. We're going to close this trade now. And yeah, it's 3:39, and let's do that. Bear with me. We're going to record this last few minutes. That's just one micro up there. That's not five. That's just one from yesterday, right? So we're going to go ahead and capture this image. Okay, so if you recall, we started the week at 30,400 in round numbers. Yesterday, midday, we dropped below 30,000. We got to like 29,000. Remember, we were down about $1,000, a point. We let the machine put us in. We had five. Because it was the end of the week, we opted to take four off, right? Let's make sure we have a good week. But we kept one on. We're going to take that one off now. So let's go do that. We'll go do it together. Bear with me. Oops, let's get that up. And we're going to close the trade. And that's it. We're done. We're in the house. So how much is that? 30. Let's see. I think it's not good with math. You would think I'd be good with math, right? So 30,400, 31,400, 32,400, about $2,700 for the week. We'll calculate the profit factor here shortly, and answer any questions that you might have. But we're in the house. Let's go and copy this. There we go. That's what we did for today. What's going on? Hey everyone, sorry about that. So we haven't calculated our profit factor for the week. I think it's going to be somewhere between 2.5 and 3. I think it's going to be under 3. We didn't trade a whole lot, right, on this account this week. We could, now let me just share with you too, right? By the way, I said yesterday when we had the 5 on, because we were so close to our beginning balance and so close to the end of the trading session, that I was going to take 4 off to give us a positive week and roll with the 1. However, I also said if it was Tuesday or Wednesday maybe, but earlier in the week, I would have continued to hold all 5. Well, you can do the math from there. We just closed the 1 for $1,500. So if we had had 4 more, how much is that, right? So this trade that we put on just yesterday would have been over $6,000, 6,000 easily with 5 micros. If I had traded more actively this week, and we got that one, you can always do the woulda, shoulda, coulda game, but I think you could see pretty comfortably you can do some really, really nice things with just 5 micros, which is half of a mini. The amount of margin you need to go overnight on 1 micro is about $4,200 to $4,300. Intraday, I think you only need like 300 or 400, right? I'm not saying that you should use all of that margin, but you could, right? You could. You can cover a lot of ground in a short period of time. When you're trading and you have a Tuesday, you have a big Monday, for instance, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, it's a grinding little market and you only make a little bit. You've got to remain patient and disciplined and know, hey, that's all the market is giving me today. On Wednesday, we ran the program and there were no trades. Nothing overnight, nothing all day on that particular program. And then yesterday she generated this nice trade that got us profitable, and because we started late in the week, we didn't get it all. We left a lot of money on the table. When you are trading, well, that is the feeling you're going to have. I'm leaving money on the table, and that's totally okay. All right, so let's go look here. Let's see, we have any questions from anybody. I want to see what might be coming our way next week. All right, so let's go do this. Let's put the VIX on a daily view. We're at 90. Very, very high. Euphoria in VIX. Fear. Let's go to the ES. Let's put it on a daily. Where is it? Down in here. Could go lower. Oops, no, it's right here. Could go lower. And that doesn't mean that it won't go lower in the price, but it is really getting at an extreme. This is not where I want to be coming in and buying puts on the market. No, to the contrary. And see the skew that we had up here earlier. Let's just plug this back in so we can, we already know the skew. The skew is about 142. That's not going to change until after the market closes. So the skew isn't that high. Aggressive traders should be looking to either buy a call or sell some put credit spreads on the S&P going out 25 or 30 days today. Should be doing it now, if that's what you want to do. No, not aggressively, but just as a marker. And you might have it in mind, well, it could be worse on Monday and Tuesday, and if it does, you'll want to add to your position, right? Which we will do with options all the time. But this is not where you want to be initiating a short position. Let's go look at the NASDAQ here. Now we can also look at the weekly view, and you can tell that all right, so the NASDAQ is in panic sell, right? So you might want to get the call options on the QQQs. Now let me just change this to a weekly to really slow it down. The investor, wow. So see on the weekly, they're spooked. Right, so now your neighbors and everybody who's got retirement accounts, it's now getting their attention. They're spooked, and we know why. Oh wow! See this? Look at the weekly. The weekly is in panic sell. Wow, I'm a little surprised at that. So the weekly, they really had some damage. And the same thing with the NASDAQ. Not where you want to initiate. Doesn't mean that we're going to bounce first thing on Sunday night or Monday and, it's off to the races again. In fact, we're probably not going to see those highs again for a long time. We may not, I don't think so. But now, of course, we know what's going on in the world, and that's why everyone's trying to de-risk, because they don't know what's going to happen over the weekend. And the same thing with the financial crisis, the dot-com, the '08 crisis. They start getting spooked about the weekend. They just like, you know what, I just want to get my bread, and I want to get out of Dodge, out of harm's way. If nothing happens over the weekend, then we'll open up. If something good happens over the weekend, peace breaks out, well, then we will majorly squeeze up. If something bad happens over the weekend, we might, we got to put this back to a 5-minute, we could gap down on Monday, and we could be setting up for some sort of a crash-like event on Tuesday. And nobody else will, but we'll be buying it. Not hand over fist, but as a trade. We'll be going along. That's what we see. And what do we see? Look at oil now at $100 a barrel. Now, that is West Texas tea. But Europe buys most of their oil, or gets most of the oil from the Mideast, but they also get it from the North Sea, the Brent, and that's probably over $120. This sustained oil price is going to be problematic, obviously, for a whole host of reasons. So they're in the shit. Let's put it that way. And the thing of it is, I don't know. It's a shame that it had to be this event, but the conditions for the market were ripe to come in. If you go back to our YouTube channel, please go back on February 3rd, if not sooner, but on February 3rd, we did a video on the S&P and on the NASDAQ and said, take precautions, beware the Ides of March. We said that, beware the Ides of March. It's March 27th. And you might want to consider getting some puts on, because we could see a 25% correction in these markets. Shockingly, we're only down about, on the S&P, 10%. The folks who were buying the puts, the big boys, and where was the skew back then? The skew was really, really high. That's because the big money they know, and they were selling calls to the speculators, and they were buying puts. They don't usually do that for 2 or 3%. It's usually 10%, 15, 20. Whenever they start to take those puts off in a big way, we'll see it in the skew. So we'll be looking at the skew over the weekend. We'll get the reading for today, and we'll get an idea. And if we can see that we want the retail crowd to be panic VIX, panic sell, and a low skew, and that's our, that's when if you have some retirement monies that have been on the sideline, as a trader, you step in and you put some money to work, and nobody else will be doing it, but we will be doing it, and that's how we make our money, right? I'm bagging on. This is Stock Market Caddy. I hope you had a great week. As we told Jeremy from Memphis, called to tell us, Don, I'm trading point and figure and I'm getting it done. You got any pointers for me? And I said to Jeremy, if you're getting it done, keep doing it, kid. Just keep doing it. Don't subscribe to anybody. Just keep doing it. Rinse and repeat. Why mess with success? Said I've been doing it for a year and a half, keep doing it. But if you're not getting it done, or you think, it's just kind of shit luck, well, then you want to look around. Visit our website. You're welcome to call me. We have folks rolling in and rolling out of Q schools all of the time, because we are a mentoring service, and we do want to provide you the tools, but we want to give you the education to use those tools up front. And so, does it slow down our membership? Yes, absolutely it does. And that's a good thing. There's no rush. Markets are always here. Hopefully, hopefully. All right. Hope you had a great week, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Shortly after 4 o'clock, we'll turn down, and I'm glad you got to see what you saw here today. Have fun. Okay, everyone. Thanks for stopping by. The markets finish on their lows. Keep our fingers crossed over the weekend. Very bad finish for the bulls. Any other shoes drop over the weekend? Anything gets worse, we're going to gap down Sunday night. Could be setting up for a Monday, Tuesday flush. And if that's the case, you just stand aside, let it happen, and be there Tuesday, Wednesday for the bounce. Yeah, but we have a high VIX, low. So we got euphoria in the VIX. We have panic in the markets. Skew is, we believe, we'll look at it over the weekend, is moderate, not super high or super low. If it was still high, super high, then we'd be like, oh man, this thing is really getting ready to let go. But a moderate skew tells me that we probably bounce sometime next week. Good luck, everybody. Have a great weekend.